Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics.
Welcome back, one and all. I'm Adam the Fanatic, and today we're wrapping up Mega Man by taking a look at Halcyon Days, a Mega Man Legends-inspired action RPG by Rock 'n' Roll Gas Station Games. Without any further ado, let's dive in. You may be wondering why I'm closing out Mega Man with Halcyon Days instead of, well, an actual Mega Man title. And quite simply, it's a fan-made clone to the Legends series that released earlier this year. As I've said many times before, there's nothing inherently wrong with a clone game. The difference between a rip-off and an homage lies in how well they pull it off. And Halcyon Days isn't afraid to wear its inspiration on its sleeve. Even the name Halcyon Days is a reference to the original Japanese name of the Legends series, Rockman Dash, with Dash being short for Dig Outer's adventure story in Halcyon Days. And the basic gameplay loop clearly shows this. You'll take on the role of Teflon, a treasure hunter that explores the ancient ruins left behind by a long-lost civilization in hopes of finding technology and other artifacts to use. You'll have an arm cannon as your primary weapon, which can be upgraded with 2 parts to increase power, range, or rate of fire. You'll also be able to equip a single special weapon, which can include things like grenades, automated attack drones, or even an X-Buster style charge shot. You'll also be able to equip some homing rockets, which are separate from your standard selection of special weapons. Your movement is controlled with the WASD keys and the mouse like you'd expect of most modern games, but then things get a little confusing as instead of using the other keys around WASD, it instead falls back on the more archaic route of making use of Control and Alt, with Control firing your rockets and Alt firing your secondary weapon. Similar to Legends, you can also get some jet skates rather early on, and these are a vast improvement over those in Legends. These have almost zero startup and braking time, and you can jump manually or even use your weapons while skating about. Speedrunners will absolutely love the versatility these things give you. Most of the game's action will have you going into ruins and fighting the ancient machines therein. Between ruins, you'll visit various towns where you'll be able to buy and sell equipment, as well as partake in various side quests. And there's quite a bit of optional content in this relatively short title. In addition to simply having hidden parts of the ruins that you're likely to miss on your first pass through them, you'll also have minigames, a trading sequence, matchmaking, and lumberjacking. These vary in quality just as much as they do in content. Some are quite fun, and others are just droll and repetitive. Do yourself a favor and do not attempt the herding quests until after you have the jet skates. You'll thank me later. Then we move on to presentation. The art direction is clearly inspired by the PS1 era with blocky polygons, and on this end, the game is honestly quite fine. However, it has modern bloom effects and renders large areas all at once. This means that despite it looking like a PS1 game with smoother surfaces, it becomes quite a resource hog. I cannot play this game without my RTX 2060's fans turning up to full power. This also means that there's some noticeable lag when transitioning to new areas, and oftentimes these are simply much larger than they need to be. I touched on this a bit when talking about Legends 2, but one of the first Legends' greatest strengths was that it had small areas and used them to their fullest. Halcyon Days, on the other hand, feels like a lot of areas could benefit from being trimmed down, especially since the nature of the game expects you to backtrack and explore, which the larger maps feel counterproductive towards. To further this point, the only way you can save is by talking to Kevlar. Not a problem in and of itself, but Kevlar generally only appears on your sub, which means that you'll have to backtrack to it every time you want to save. On the other hand, what I'm surprisingly impressed by is the voice acting. It's not amazing by any means, but it suits the game well with its cartoonish presentation. Normally, I would suggest that indie titles avoid voice acting altogether, but in this case, it actually turned out pretty good.
Teflon! I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I can't believe Teflon's gone. He was so handsome and brave.
Tef! You're alive!
Story-wise, there's not too much going on. Teflon is a treasure hunter that works alongside Kevlar, both of whom are under the employ of Kevlar's father, a wealthy shipping magnate that has funded the pair's explorations. While delving into the ruins in hopes of finding treasure, Teflon comes across Vela and her guardian, Theodore, both of whom claim to be part of an ancient civilization that built the ruins, albeit prisoners for an unspecified reason. I don't see a reason to go into spoiler section to discuss the plot. There is a twist about halfway through the main story, but for the most part, the story is more about the characters than the plot, and it did get some genuine laughs out of me from time to time. However, before we wrap up, we do have to discuss the game's biggest weakness. It is very buggy. Some of these are minor, others not so much. I don't have time to get into all of them, but a few of the most noticeable ones. Firstly, every time I finished a conversation, I had to right-click to regain control of the camera. However, if I did so without moving away from the NPC first, it would initiate the conversation again. So effectively, I had to move away, then click. Similarly, I also had to click to regain control after leaving menus, and this just seems like a completely unnecessary step. There were also a couple things that soft-locked my game. Once, I got stuck in a tree and simply could not get out. And then there was a side quest I wasn't able to do, as whenever I completed it, it would completely lock me out of camera control, and the only hope I had was to reload my save. And on another note, I wasn't able to finish the game because there's a path in the final area that is impassable if you don't collect at least one of the optional mobility upgrades hidden in the game. You have no way of knowing this going in, and it takes a fair bit of time to reach this point in the final sequence. If you don't know about it ahead of time, that's simply progress lost without any warning. But what really killed my run is that after going back to collect aforesaid mobility upgrades, the cutscene before the final battle now simply stops and blocks me from continuing, even after reloading it multiple times. Because of this, I was ultimately unable to finish the game. All in all, I really want to like Halcyon Days. There's clearly heart and passion in this project, and while it does play to nostalgia, there is genuine work and effort put in here. And in some ways, the game is actually better than those it's paying homage to. However, it's also very buggy and unpolished. I would be much more forgiving of this if it was marketed as an early access title, as that's what it feels like. A game that, while it does have a definitive end, hasn't been fully polished. My understanding that this is a solo dev project, and the dev is still actively working to fix those bugs. If he stays the course and manages to get the game to a more stable state, there is a lot of solid work here, and I would heartily recommend it. Again, I do stress that pretty much all my issues with the game are things that can be fixed through future patches. However, the title is marketed and sold as a finished game, thus I will be treating and scoring it as such. This is the hardest decision I've had to make so far in scoring a game, as it does have its strong points and isn't merely a quick cash grab. But all the same, given its current state with numerous bugs and poor optimization, I feel I must give Halcyon Days a lacking 5.7 out of 10.
Halcyon Days is currently available for PC via Steam. If you're interested in purchasing or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Halcyon Days? What homages do you recommend? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave it in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.